Pro-Palestine marches planned for Remembrance Sunday branded appalling by ex-intelligence officer. They should be banned. Well, ladies and gents, the usual suspects are having a protest on the one day of the year you would think the slimy, oily little rats could at least take off. But no, being a disrespectful bellend is a full-time job for these people, so obviously they're at it again. I know everyone's doing their own thing this weekend and remembering the fallen in their own way. It's common to do a minute's silence, but everybody else is going to be taking care of that, so I'm going to use my gifts to remember people in a different fashion. And I'm going to be partaking in 5 minutes of rage and hate for the people that are doing this type of thing. A desperate, wholehearted desire to roundhouse the lips off a foul-smelling communist protester. Okay, so let's read the story in full. Pro-Palestine marches planned for Remembrance Sunday. Unbelievable. The neck of 1,000 giraffes. You have to actually give it to them. The brass balls on them. I have to say though, hats off to GB News, which is what this story is published on, because they managed to A, hire someone with an English sounding name, Georgia Pierce, and B, not have a news article need 4 people to write it. Have you seen the clip of the BBC? You can see it's like a money laundering operation to send British taxpayers' money to terrorists in the Middle East, because they hire like 5 or 6 people for every story, and of the 5 or 6 people, 4 of them basically related to the Bin Laden family. So, of course, it's well done to GB News for using one person to write the story, like they used to when the world made sense. Anyway, thanks, Georgia. Let's have a read. Liverpool Friends of Palestine have confirmed that a march will go ahead on Remembrance Sunday. Liverpool. Typical Scousers. I mean, I'm not a collectivist, so I don't dislike Scousers. I'm just fully aware that 65% of the city are self-loathing, sparrow-boned communist soy boys who I'd tell you what, I'd be absolutely loving it going on a counter-protest in Liverpool, because I know for a fact one of them would be daft enough to throw a punch at me. And then I could respond in kind with the old Mark 1 bootneck headbutt and send one of them into the shadow realm for the rest of the week. So I love that. Typical Scousers. Why is it always Scousers? Pro-Palestine marches set to disrupt Remembrance Sunday commemorations have been branded appalling and demeaning amid calls for the demonstrations to be banned. The protests are set to take place across the country, with groups in Birmingham, Liverpool, Bath and Ireland set to take to the streets during the Day of Remembrance. Listen, right, I feel like this is a point that needs to be reiterated because people aren't paying any attention. Even Red Jezza, the flaming pinko commie, will wear a poppy because he's well aware that it's moved past whatever intent these people think it is. And it's now just used to commemorate anyone who ever died in a war. Like, it's not tied to any single nationality. Even the kebab shop Rogers, some of them will wear a poppy because it's just, you can use it for anything. It's kind of ignorant if you just decide on a whim that the poppy represents British imperialism. It doesn't. But again, each to their own. I admire James McLean's balls, to be honest, because, there is a bit of poppy hysteria in the UK, and no one should be forced to wear one. I admire his cojones, but ultimately he is thick as shit. So, swings and roundabouts. West Midlands Police have confirmed they are aware of the planned demonstration, but have not taken any action to ban the protest, as their policing powers do not allow them to cancel such an event, as it is happening under free speech. Really? Yeah. If that excuse washes, I've got a bridge to sell you, because, funny old thing, Tony Romo doesn't have any protections under free speech, does he? If you say anything right-wing, you don't get any protection under free speech. If you say anything even remotely right-wing, they'll kick your front door off its hinges, bend you over your kitchen table, and interfere with you with a garden vegetable before locking you in prison for a very, very long period of time. Even if you're a middle-aged / pensionable-aged woman who's never been in trouble with the law before. So the old free speech crack doesn't work, lads, because you've flagrantly and blatantly and brazenly proved at least 200 or 300 times in the last few years that you couldn't give a monkey's fart about freedom of speech, which is why aforementioned 200 or 300 occasions resulted in people getting locked up for mean tweets. So don't give me that. You don't have the power. You do have the power. You've got far too much power. If you didn't have the power, then Mr. Mellier wouldn't be in prison for putting stickers out, would he now? Criticising the authorities in Birmingham, former intelligence officer Philip Ingram, MBE, hit out at the appalling and demeaning protests taking place and called on West Midlands Police to ban the march. Ingram fumed, "I can see no logic as to why Birmingham City Council have allowed this march to go ahead." I can. The irrefutable logic of commie rhetoric. That's why. That's the logic they're using. These people are flag-waving commie ideologues. Of course, they think it's acceptable. That's the ideology that they all cleave to. So that's the logic they're using. It is logical. I know why they're doing it. Because they've got heads full of fresh air and, commie cow shit. But he's correct in saying that they must have known the controversy that it would create. Yeah, they're doing it, as I keep telling you lot, out of spite, out of bitterness, resentment, hatred. They want to drive you mad. That's what they always want to do. That's why every chance they get to rub your nose in it and make you angry, they take it. The key is to mock them mercilessly and get more amused rather than angry about it, which is why I always take the piss out of the morbidly obese, purple-haired, geggy, 10-to-2 kebab shop birds that seem to represent all of these movements, and obviously chinless, sparrow-boned men. Noting how the demos will take away attention from the significance of Remembrance Sunday, Ingram stated that they are trying to focus on political purposes instead of commemorating those who sacrificed their lives in the war. Of course. And they say they're remembering Palestinians that were murdered. Yeah. Who started that one again? It's a bit weird, that, isn't it? I'll tell you one thing. The poppy can be used to commemorate any war dead, and they're proving it, aren't they, if they're saying it's to remember Palestinians. So, first of all, there's another piece of evidence for what I was saying about the aforementioned shit for brains McLean. But the other thing is to say, you don't need to have the flags on there. If you want to remember dead people, you don't have to tie a nationality to you, do you? Look, Poppy, I've got a Poppy on. Doesn't have a flag on it. You don't need to do that. You're just being a knobhead on purpose, trying to wind people up. It's very simple. Poppies don't have flags on them because you can look at the futility of war. There's a lot of people who use it to remember all soldiers, don't they? Young French and German lads died in the trenches. Nobody feels compelled to tie a nationality to it, except for these lunatics, because they want to wind you up, because they're arseholes. When asked by host Dawn Neeson if he believed Labour government are too scared to ban the protests, Ingram agreed, claiming Labour are too scared to do anything. The current government is too scared. Unless you're putting up a tweet about something, then nothing's going to happen to you. Exactly right. And there you go. Which is what I just said earlier. You put a tweet out and your door gets kicked in by heavily armed police officers and you get imprisoned. But if you go out with protests and you're a lefty protester, you can do whatever you want. And this is because Keir Starmer, as David Starkey has so eloquently informed everybody, is a far-left ideologue, much more dangerous than Tony Blair, and he's proved it, which is why there's lots and lots of people in jail who shouldn't be. All right? It's easy. It's obvious. Police in Ireland say they respect the right for citizens to exercise their constitutional rights and have no role to permit or authorise gatherings. Bollocks. Get 500 right-wing football hooligans to try and have a gathering and see what the police have to say about it. See if they've got no right to permit or authorise gatherings then. We all know it's shamelessly partisan political pandering. That's exactly what it is. They can protest. You can't. They can insult, they can racially abuse you in the middle of the street. You can't say boo to a goose to them. If you punch a policewoman in the face in a crowded airport, you'll go to prison for a very long time. But if you happen to have a shade of Abu Hamza about you, they won't even charge you for it. That, ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, is the root cause of all of this. You know it, and I know it. We are living in a two-tiered society, and two-tier Keir is just doing exactly what it says on his tin, isn't he? They can do what they want, they can march where they like, they can say what they want, they can purposely offend you on the most sacred day in the British calendar, and you have to like it or lump it. And if you get too aggressive criticising them, you'll get nicked for being rude on the internet. Cheers. Easy. Keir Starmer, you are a walking toilet, a sloshing Portaloo, a crusty spunk stain on the front of a White House intern's dress. There is no euphemism foul enough to sum up the general public's feelings towards you, two-tier Keir. You are a born liar, a hypocrite, and a waste of space, an oxygen thief of the highest order. And when I adhered to the minute's silence, I spent a minute pondering my perfectly logical and rational hatred for him and the party of destructive, resentful communists that he leads. Okay, so that's it. I hope you took the time to remember the fallen in your own way this day, and it was marginally less bad-tempered than mine. All right, I'm going to go out and have a couple of pints for the birthday of the USMC, who have helped to keep the afterlife packed with fresh souls for almost 3 centuries. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow, okay? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Toodle pip. Cheers.